Hello everyone, welcome to 3dDesignAcademy.com. In this lesson, I will be doing a project review of the Bentley 100 GT wheel. So this is the model in question. And let me just bring up a picture. And this is what it's supposed to be looking like in real life. Of course, this is essentially a copy model. So basically just duplicating whatever exists in real life. And I think it's a very nicely done model. I mean, as you can see over here, even at a first glance, all the surface structure looks really nice. Everything seems to be well thought out. All the structures there. And also, if you look at the wheel and compare to the actual thing, I think the design was captured nicely as well. So this is what it looks like with the shader on. Of course, the colors are a little bit different, but you get the idea. Now, that said, however, there were a couple of things that I did notice that could probably be improved. Now, first thing first, this wheel was not made using a rational flags or a surface with the rational flags. Now, I did do a video with a whole explanation on this topic, so I'm not going to go into details. But basically, with the CV structure like this, with a surface like this, it is not possible to create a perfect circle. So if I let me just copy and paste it and show it to you guys. Now, if you just want to make it like this, that's totally fine. But I feel like it's a little bit not as efficient. No, that's not how it works. Oh, there we go. Okay. So if I just measure the radius of this one, you'll see that the radius ranges from 383, 382. Actually, that's a deviation is quite a lot. Let me do this. I'm going to grab a curvature over here, and let's do a min-max radius like this. As you can see, because this is a 5-degree surface, the radius ranges from 376 to 392. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because wheels usually have a pattern. It's a 5-spoke, 10-spoke, whatever, 12-spoke. There are 6-spoke wheels as well, but this essentially is a 5-spoke. And to do this, you would have to actually individually fill out all of these, which I think is a little bit inefficient. But if you could just make a perfect circle, just copy each section. So basically make one spoke and just duplicate it over. I think that would be a lot quicker. So in order to do that, of course, you do have to make sure that the preference is set correctly. So if you go to, let's see, general preferences, construction option. So under preferences, go to construction options, and you just want to make sure that the primitives and curves are checked on for rational flags, and that is going to create a surface that's a little bit different CV structure wise, but it is also going to create a perfect circle. So actually, you know what? Let's do this. I'm just going to copy and paste this one over here to the side like this, and let's just go ahead and untrim everything. Like that, and I'm just going to take the same section over here. I think the pivot location is totally fine, and I'm just going to do a revolve. Now, with the initial revolve, it looks like this, but that's okay. I'm just going to make sure that it's in Y, and as you can see, that there is a little bit of discrepancy between the two surfaces. But this one, on the other hand, let me just delete that one. This one is a perfect circle. So if I were to get the same curvature over here and measure the radius, you'll see that it's a 384.342. Same thing over here, min and max the same. And if you look at the CV structure, it's a little bit different. This is going to allow you to create a perfect circle, which means that you can just do one section of the pie, just duplicate it over, which I think it's a lot more efficient, but it's really up to the individual builder. So yeah. Also, there were a couple of surfaces. Now, I do understand why this person did this. So as you can see over here, there are multiple sections for going through the fillet. This is what's called a Bezier surface. So if I think this one actually has history, and so let me just go through this. So if I do a query at the history over here, you see that the Bezier surface is checked on. So what that does is it creates a single span surface only. It's not going to have a multi span surface. So if I actually check this off, so basically it's the certain parameter. Why is it still single span? Maybe it's because of the surface. Oh, okay, so that's why. All right, But essentially, it's all the surfaces created from this is going to be like this. So now, I don't think there is a history on this one. Oh, except for a line. This actually translates really well to other softwares, but of course the problem is it's got multiple sections, which I, to be honest, don't enjoy that much. So I think it could probably be cleaned up a little bit. And there are other areas as well. So as you can see over here, I would prefer to just have a non-busy surface, just a NURB surface with spans, because I prefer not to have little pieces like these. Their surface structure is probably going to be a little bit better because busy does tend to create a little bit better structured surface as far as the CV structure wise, but I prefer not to do something like this. All right, so I think I'm just going to go over some of the areas that I could probably see a little bit improvement on. So right now, for example, as you can see, this one, it's got a little wiggle. The CV structure is a little bit weird. I think that could be improved a little bit too. So let me just show you how to do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that corner over there. I'm just going to untrim this one, untrim that one, untrim this one, and I'm also going to untrim this surface over here. And let's just go ahead and trim it. Okay, so I'm just going to trim it like this, and I'm just going to go ahead and, well, get rid of the COS over here. Now, I think the primary surface over here also needs a little bit cleanup because I think the CV structure, it's got a little zigzag. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rebuild it using square. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. But 1 is going to be curvature, and 3 is going to be curvature too. What that does is it's essentially creates an exact duplicate of the surface over here. But because I set it to curvature over here, it's going to, the continuity is going to be correct too. So if I were to just hide this temporarily, and you know, right now it's already curvature here, and curvature here. Well, it looks like that's tangent. Actually, let me just check. Now, my construction settings are a little bit different. So that could be cause of this. Well, let's take a look. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this back and let's go ahead and hide this one over here. And because I set the, well, basically this is constructed off of the exact fillet that was there, but I set it to curvature, so the continuity is exactly the same. And if I were to check on this one, the continuity, you'll see that it retains curvature. And let me just project this one over here and let's see if that's also curvature. Looks like that feels tangency. Okay, so it looks like it is a little bit different, but that should be a quick fix. So all you have to do is just, you know, grab a line, maybe just a line tangent like this, and that's all you have to do it. Or not. So let me just try normal. Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, so now it's tangent. Although I think this is supposed to be curvature, so let's just do G2. Well, it looks like there is a little bit of deviation there. But I think that's definitely worth the effort, especially considering the CV structure is a little bit better as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, looks like there's 2 COSs, so let me just get rid of one. And I'm just going to delete the COS over here. I'm going to go ahead and delete the construction history too, because the main topic that I want to talk about is this ball corner over here. Now, this isn't, well, I guess from the rear, it is a traditional ball corner. Well, let's just isolate it. So I'm going to say hide and select it. So this is a very traditional ball corner setting. So you got 3 surfaces merging together. Nothing out of the ordinary, but of course, so from this view, it looks like it's a negative, but just flipped over. All right, so let's go ahead and try to clean that up. So I'm just going to grab the corner blend tool because I think corner blend tool tends to be a little bit more stable. I'm going to say accept. I'm going to say accept. Click on this one and accept. Now the fillet size is a little bit different, so I'm probably going to increase it just a little bit to keep it similar to the other one. So yeah, looks like it's a little bit more straight, so maybe I'll just go maybe 20. 20 is a little bit big, so maybe I'll just go 18. Okay, so that looks pretty good. That looks pretty similar to the shape that's already there. But before I do that though, let me just make sure that it's curvature, and I am going to, because it's a multi-span surface, I'm just going to turn on explicit control and 5151 like this, and that's a lot cleaner. Now you do have to take into account the CV structure. Looks like the CV structure is not super clean, but it's not bad either. I do think that it's a little bit cleaner than the one that was previously there. So I would take this one. And of course, you do have to check for continuity though. So I'm going to say check for continuity. Okay, so it looks like there are curvature failures all over the place. But as long as the highlight's good, I'm not too worried about curvature. While it'll be nice to get it, it's not going to be the end of the day. And it looks like some of these are actually failing tangency. So obviously definitely improvement from before. So I will take this one. And of course the highlight looks really nice. And yeah, so I would say that's pretty easy. And I'll probably also do something similar over here as well. Now actually let's go over here. So this one, I think one of the reasons why this is happening is because this fillet size is a little bit bigger than this one. So what happens is, in order to compensate for this, it's going to, well, basically it's got a bigger fillet running over a smaller one, and that's always going to be a cause for trouble. Now the basic rule of thumb is you always want to do a larger one first, then go over with a smaller one. That said, I understand why this guy did it, because this one allows you to connect these surfaces together, and it's just easier to run this fillet over here. Whereas if you did the larger one first, you'd have to make sure that this boundary is going here nicely. You'd have to build this fillet separately, build this one separately, and have to go over with this one. Now that said, however, with the introduction of 2023.1 and later, in the surface fillet option, there's what's called a existing theoretical and build theoretical. So I would actually probably build this using, what is it? Well, what do you call it? The corner blend tool or the ball corner tool, just to make it clean. But if you decide not to, that's fine too, because if I were to just intersect these ones over here like this, now that might look a little bit ridiculous, but let's see. This one was probably a quarter fillet, 5. Okay. So with the introduction of the build theoretical, what you can do is you can go to build theoretical over here, G2, and I'm going to say, what is the size on this one? Okay, so it looks like it's a quarter length of 5. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. It's going to be 5. I'm just going to say build, and it's going to build it over here. Now with the quarter fillet, oh, you know what? Never mind. That looks like junk. It should be a little bit cleaner, but of course I think the CV structure might have something to do with it. So what I'm going to try and do is try to rebuild it with a ball corner tool. Now this one, I don't think it's a traditional section, because as you can see over here, it's going above. But let's see if it actually builds it. So first of all, I'm just going to untrim this one. I'm going to delete the COS over here. And I'm just going to go ahead and extend this one. And I'm going to extend this COS over. Oh, that one's looping. But that's okay, I just need this one. Looks like it's not trimming. Why is it not trimming? Okay, so let's take a look. So I'm just going to say, oh, that's probably because of the multi. You see that there's a bunch of COS stacked on top of each other. I'm guessing that this is probably the reason why. Yes, there are multiple COSs. So I'm not going to spend time reprojecting all of these. I think I'm just going to just block in something so that I can trim it. So I'm just going to snap a curve from here and maybe to here like this, and I'll just trim it. I think that's causing the problem. So just trim it like this. There it is. Okay, so that's all I need. So that is one of the reasons why you want to make sure that COSs are trimmed correctly. But obviously this is where it's supposed to be trimmed, but I'm just going to leave it like this. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the ball or the corner blend tool. So I'm going to pick this one, and this one, and I'm going to say accept, and I'm going to pick this one, and I'm going to say accept. Now there is a chance that it might build, it might not build, but it looks like it doesn't. So let me just reduce the base radius. Looks like it still doesn't build. And that's a little bit unfortunate. I'm going to try with the ball corner tool, see if it builds. So I'm going to pick these three over here. I'm going to say go. I'm going to pick this one. Okay, so you know, the two legs intersection. Okay, so because these surfaces are not intersecting, I don't think it's working. Now, if that's the case, you probably want to build them manually. So now that's what I don't. Well, let's just build it. I would prefer not to spend time building this one manually, but well, since it is like this, let's just go ahead and do it. All right, so what I'm going to do is first of all, I need to set up a radius over here. So I'm just going to pick this one over here, and let's go ahead and do a curve fillet. It's going to record, it's going to be G2, and I would say, well, because it's becoming a little bit larger, maybe I'll do 5. Maybe you could do something a little bit bigger if you want to spread. I think 5's fine. All right, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to connect the dots from here against this one. Now this is just to trim the surface width. So if you want to just place it over here like this, it doesn't really matter as long as it's somewhat reasonable. And I'm going to do the same thing over here as well. So let's go ahead and do a rail. I'm going to rail this one, and I'm going to rail this one. So basically I'm just trying to look for just a clean, nice, clean surface. Preferably planar, and I'm just going to use that to intersect this with. So let me actually, you know what? Let's isolate this because I'm starting to pick up surface from the back. So let me just hide and select it like this. And what I'm going to do is, because it's basically aligning curvature to this one, I'm just going to extend it just a little bit. This one and that one. Yep, I think that should be good. And now I'm just going to go ahead and intersect with this one. Same thing over here. I'm just going to intersect, and that's going to give me a very planar cut, and that should allow me to create a trim, very clean trim convert. So same thing here, and I'm just going to grab these ones and just hide it. Same thing over here. I'm going to grab the originals and hide it also. Okay. But of course, this one also needs to be trimmed. So for this one, you do have to do a little bit, it does require a little bit more manual labor. So I'm just going to duplicate this edge like this, do an insert, duplicate the COS over here. And I'm just going to align this piece over here like that. It's going to be G2, and I'm going to align this one over here like this. And what you want to do is, well, basically the purpose of this is to do a trim convert. But as you can see, the CV structure is all over the place. So I'm just going to line it up so that I can also create a cleaner trim convert of the surface. So what you want to do is you just want to project it like this. Make sure that the CV structure is aligned up to this one. Basically, you want the CV structure of the curve and the CV structure of the surface to be quite similar. And now I'm just going to delete the COS, or not the COS, the curve. And I'm just going to do a trim convert on this one. All right, that looks good. And of course, I'm going to hide the original. So let's grab all these over here. And I'm going to grab this surface over here and grab this surface over here like that. All right, now when you're doing a operation like this, like a manual build, you just want to make sure that all the surfaces are nicely aligned. So I'm just going to grab a line. I'm just going to click here. It's going to be edge over here. You might want to do a position influence, increase the position influence. That really depends. It looks like I'm able to retain curvature without it. Actually, I'm only able to retain curvature without it. So let's do that. Now, that's it. However, the most important thing is to make sure that this is a lined up edge like this. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. And I'm going to explain to you in a little bit. Now, that's it. However, let's go ahead and do the same thing over here as well. Now, this one's a little bit long, so I'm just going to shorten it just because I'm trying to demonstrate this area. So I'm just going to say edge over here, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. But this one is going to be partial because there's not exactly an edge to line to. Same thing over here. Just want to make sure that this edge is exactly set like that. And this one, I know the partial is set, but you also want to make sure that you go all the way to the end. Same thing here, like that. This one, partial will be on, and I think that's good. All right, so now I'm going to grab all these, and of course I'm missing a curve here, so I'm going to grab that one as well. Delete the construction history, and let's go ahead and set up a square. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to say, let's see, 2 is going to be curvature, 4 is going to be curvature, and it's going to create multi-span surface like this. But that's okay, because there is something called collinear options, and that's going to help me improve it. The reason why I did a trim convert on these surfaces is because I wanted to create a predictable curve over here, or predictable surface edge. Now with the traditional COS, it's impossible to predict how many spans it's supposed to be. But because this is a trim converted surface with a natural surface edge, I know that it only requires a 5-degree curve in order to align 100% to the surface. So now I'm just going to go ahead and turn on boundary blend. So 2 is going to be, not boundary blend, collinear is going to be on. So 2 will be turned on, 3 will be turned on, and 4 will be turned on. Okay, so it looks like not a lot of impact on the COS or the number of spans. So now I'm just going to do an explicit control. It's going to be 5 and 5. And as you can see over here, now actually, let me show you the difference. If I were to have this off, oh, actually, you know what? That's not bad. I'm kind of surprised. I'm actually really surprised, and it's got curvature here. Let's do a continue check. Okay, so it looks like it's failing tangency. Usually this kind of scenario doesn't happen, but well, looks like it happened in this one. All right, that's our word. Let's go ahead and set the collinear options, because collinear options is going to align all the surfaces. As you can see over here, there's a little break, but collinear is going to line it up perfectly to the surface that's next to. So if I do a collinear option on 2, you see how the CV structure lining up nicely to that one. So that really helps. Okay, so 3 is going to be on, 4 is going to be on. That actually helps with the continue over here. So previously it was failing tangency, but now I got curvature on one side and really close over here. So pretty happy with that. Now this one on the other hand, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get curvature just because it's failing over here too. But well, let's give it a go. So I'm going to, let's go ahead and delete the construction history first. And I'm going to grab this one over here. Let's see if I can do a little transform CV. So I'm going to say 5,000 like this. Just going to, oh, there it is. That was quick. I'm just going to try this one too. Although I'm not sure about this one because I feel like it's just going to fail it. And yeah, because, well, essentially this has to be curvature before I can align this curvature. But if this is not curvature, then even though this is going to be curvature, it makes more sense that this doesn't achieve curvature either. That's our word. It doesn't hurt to try. And what do you know? I got curvature. Now it could probably because of the surface is flat, but yeah, I think that's probably the main reason why. Well, let's go ahead and move on. So this one, this side over here is also require, well, this one also needs to be done. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to project here, project here. And I'm just going to make sure that the curvature continues on this one, and this one. And let's go ahead and align this one. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to try G2, but I definitely need to do project. So let's give it a go. So I'm just going to pick this edge over here and I'm going to say, hey, there it is. It looks like view and normal both works. I was able to retain curvature on all sides. So pretty happy with that. And all you have to do is, well, first of all, let's just back these up over here. Whoops. And I'm just going to go ahead and trim. And there it is. So the highlight looks pretty good and the flow is nice and smooth, and overall it's a lot less number of patches. So this is what I would do. Of course, this is the same scenario, so I would do the same thing. But yeah, I think this would be an improvement from before. But that's it. However, like I said, I think this is a nicely done model. I mean, all the surface structure seems nice. All the primaries are nicely laid out. So just a couple of just refinements. I think this should be a very, very good wheel. All right, so that is the review of the Bentley EXP 100 GT wheel. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time. Want to learn Autodesk Alias and digital sculpting? Then become a member at 3ddesignacademy.com, where you'll find hundreds of video tutorials ranging from basics, including curve creations, intermediate level tutorials such as this wheel, all the way to Class A modeling of the entire car exterior. Interested? Visit 3ddesignacademy.com.